10 races down, 10 races to go. Hello everybody, welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix for the Race Department F1 Championship. We are back again with what looks like lovely blue skies. We've just started qualifying. As you can see, we've got 10 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. And myself, Jamie Mayers, alongside me today, as usual, is Michael Fleming.
Yep, as always, thank you for having me. Really happy to be back for tonight's Hungarian Grand Prix here in Budapest, a track which I, again, always lacked a little bit of pace at, but often managed to come away with a decent result. A real test of concentration for the drivers on what is one of the narrowest circuits on the calendar. Keeping it on the grey stuff is vital, so hopefully we won't have any issues like we saw with Harry and Sean last season, both binning it in Sector 2, so let's hope we can make it through quali without any such problems.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, this track, widely described by some as just a glorified go-karting circuit, so we're probably going to see a lot of traffic building up towards the last couple of corners as drivers try and get their gaps. Quite sure who's first to start the lap. I think it's going to be Luke in the Haas. Let's get the telemetry and everything up and running as he heads down into turn 1 for the first lap of this session. Everybody looks to be out on the super soft tyres, which I would expect. This track quite difficult on tyres. Right, so the first sector is 27.8. No real idea whether or not that's a quick lap. I guess we'll see as the session carries on. Doesn't look like he's going to get blocked by the Mercedes. Although the Ferrari behind him, who I believe was Mikey, might just get a little bit blocked. To the last couple of corners now to complete the first lap of this qualifying session. Actually, no, that goes to Harry on a 17.9. We've got yellows in sector 3. Second on an 18.7. Mikey's aborted that lap, so obviously he did actually get blocked. And Gatis goes fastest on a 17.3. Good lap for him.
Yeah, first low 17 in the session. We'd really be looking into the 16s for a pole time, depending on how much the drivers can extract in this session when the track rubbers in fully. We'll be hoping for a mid to high 16 for pole, so a very solid opening gambit from Gatis, but Guy as well, very impressive in the runner there, going about a quarter of a second slower into P2.
And there goes Mitchell, our current champion, up into pole position on a 1:17.1, but unfortunately for him, Sean is also out on the track somewhere on a hot lap. Just coming through that really cumbersome chicane in the middle sector, using all the track, climbing off upon the curb there. I would have thought that would have unsettled the car, but I guess these 2017 cars have the grip to be able to not spin out. Second to last corner for him. Coming through the last corner now. Oh, very wide, nearly puts it in the wall, and that puts him third on a 17.358. Obviously a lot more time to come in that lap time, as long as he keeps it out of the half spin that he almost did.
Yeah, that hasn't helped him. I think very weird gear selection through the final couple of corners, actually. Very quickly short shifted into fourth out of turn 13, and then just instead of shifting down to get some extra turn into the final corner, held it in fifth gear and the front end was just washing away throughout the corner, going further and further wide. Understeered onto the curb, and that, yeah, just completely unsettled the car, and he was lucky not to be in the wall after that one.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's going to come in for a change of overalls as well once he gets back into the pits. Good lap time there from Abdul there in 5th place. Not really expecting to see him that high up. So well done for him. But of course we've still got Troy and we've still got Mikey to do their laps, and of course Sean's got to put in his representative lap time. Where is Mikey on the track? He's just starting his lap now. So Michael, if you wouldn't mind, take us around a lap of the Hungary.
Okay, so Mikey just tucking it into turn 2 there, getting it the best exit that you possibly can. You run up the hill to this blind apex, horrible, horrible corner if you get it wrong, beautiful corner if you get it right. Up the hill, dragging it right now into the long hairpin of turn 5. Quick right-left chicane coming up. You want to ride as much of the curve as possible, Mikey. Being a bit conservative on his first run, just trying to get this banker in. As he goes through this wonderful little S section. Flat out through 10. And be as brave as you like through turn 11. We'll shift up to 7th now, that's surprising, as he brings it down the gears, trying to hit that apex of turn 12. Doesn't quite get it. And into the final 2 corners now, painfully slow. You just want the car to get rotated as quickly as possible and straightened out so you can absolutely blast it to the line. No such errors out of the final corner, and it puts him to the top of the pile, 117.103.
What a fantastic lap there from Mikey. Didn't really expect him to go fast. This, of course, like I mentioned before, Sean's still got to put in his lap time. Troy's back in the pits, so obviously he's having a few issues in his lap time. Has got Luke off the road on his out lap. I assume he's just pulling off the track to let people pass. Everybody else pretty much coming back into the pit lane. Guy out on the racetrack. Everybody else pretty much either in the pits or just coming out. I'm not sure if Mike is going to be able to get another lap in. He's going to go if he does.
Yeah, it's a short lap, so he'll be cutting a bit fine, but I think he will box. Not on a lap at the moment, it was over a second off, so he'll quickly come in for a change of tyres. It'll be very challenging to get out within the minute and a half that he needs to, but worth a go. He'll be happy enough with that effort, but I expect to see the times tumble on everyone's second run here.
Sean has not yet left the pit lane. I think he's just leaving now, as we've got Thomas off the road and out of qualifying. He's crashed it down at one of the fast sweepers in the middle of the circuit. Unfortunately for him, that brings an end to his qualifying session, so he's going to get no higher than 14th place. Probably don't think he would have got that much higher up anyway, regardless. But obviously a shame that he's not been able to progress any further. As Charlie again doesn't manage to get a lap time in. He's completed at least 2 or 3 laps and not managed to actually set a lap time. So he's obviously getting some corner cutting penalties somewhere and just getting his lap times deleted, which is not what you want, really.
No, won't be helping his chances in the race. Very difficult to overtake here. So you'll want to be making your qualifying laps count, as Troy runs a little bit wide at turn 4 on his lap, and I think It looks like he's thrown it away. It has been invalidated, so he is going to slow down and probably go for one more. Meanwhile, he's got to be wary because Gatis is just behind him and also on a flyer. So he won't want to get in Gatis' way and risk a penalty for the next round. So we'll see if he does yield in the final sector, and indeed he does. As we watch Gatis just come around the final two corners. He's been very, very impressive all season. Race winner in Baku, better and better with each Grand Prix. Can he go to the top of the pile? Not quite, didn't improve with about 300s off his first run.
That was a very, very close lap time. Just shows just the amount of maturity that he's gained from last season to this season, and just the level of consistency that he's managed to bring to the Williams team this season. The fact that 2 qualifying laps within 300ths of a second of each other. Unfortunately, that's probably his last attempt. Sean is now crossing the line to start his last attempt, and Mikey leaving it very, very late. He was on his out lap about 5 seconds ago, so I think he just managed to cross the line to get another lap in, but we will of course see as Sean heads into turn 2, turn 3. Got a little bit of traffic in front of him. Hopefully that's not going to affect him too much as he crosses the first sector time. And of course we don't get any sector times on our little dashboard at the top there because it's to his lap time and not the pole position time. So
Jerry
he gets out of shape.
Huge lap from Jerry.
Oh my, Jerry up into second place. Where did that lap come from?
That's incredible.
I was so occupied with Sean that I didn't even see Jerry up there in second position. What a lap from him. I wonder if he's gonna manage to keep that. Sean getting held up now as Mikey goes fastest on the 16.7. Mitchell goes fastest on the 16.7. Times are tumbling. Sean's going to get a very good slipstream, but that only puts him 3rd place for qualifying on the 17 flat. Jerry's going to start alongside him on the 2nd row of the grid. We've got Ben still on a lap. Not sure where he is on the racetrack. He's aborted it. So that is our qualifying session over. Mitchell and Mikey separated by 25 hundredths of a second.
What an end to qualifying that was. I could tell with Sean was taking that final sector so slowly, trying to prepare for his lap, and end result was Gerard and Martin going for that lap just ahead, and it was a bit of a traffic jam. I think Sean has done well nonetheless to get a 17th flat, considering he was held up in the final sector. Of course, those two drivers, no obligation to let him through, they're on a lap themselves. A huge surprise from Jerry, reminiscent of Canada Season 8 when just no one was expecting it and he popped up with pole position. It's really, really good to see him up there once again. He's another one whose pace has just been improving throughout the season with no racing line. And yeah, fantastic to see him. He's very good friends with Sean alongside him on the 2nd row, so he'll be absolutely thrilled with that.
Yeah, let's see if they continue to remain friends if they get together in turn 1. Hopefully they won't, as we just wait for qualifying to finish, which I think it is doing now. Got a rather odd shot at the back of somebody's head. And there we have it. Mitchell and Mikey is your front row of the grid. Sean and Jerry are your 2nd row. Then we've got Gatis, we've got Guy, Ben, Abdul, Harry, the Red Bull of 007, which is Sean. We've got Dan, we've got Martin, and of course we have James in 13th position. We're about to head into the race. So I hope you guys have all got your drinks and your popcorn ready. This should be a good one. go. We got 25 seconds before the race starts. And a 618 meter dash from the line to turn 1. It's going to be very interesting to see who makes it down there and out of turn 1 in the lead. We're about to find out. As the lights are on, the revs rise, and away we go. It's a good start there by Mitchell. Mikey's on the left hand side in the Ferrari. He looks like he's going to tuck into second place or even have a look for the lead down into turn 1. Mitchell's going to hang in around the outside and does indeed slot into the first position. Sean slots into third. In the background, Jerry slots into fourth. Very nicely done. We've got Gatis banging wheels with Ben through turn 3, who runs slightly wide. We've got carnage in the background with Ben, with Luke out of the race, and it looks like Thomas might be out as well, although he looks like he's recovering. And the two of them have obviously got together. Abdul, I'm not sure where he is. He's down there in turn 4 with some front wing damage, and everybody else seemingly getting through okay, although Troy's just passed 4 into that chicane. And there we go, Thomas out of the Grand Prix. Guys had a bit of a mistake somewhere. Guys in the barriers. Looks like he's just run wide in that corner and just gone straight into the wall and out of the race. So 3 very early.
Gatis is out. He's spun. Oh no, he hasn't. That was lag. There was lag on my screen. Gatis was facing the wrong way. As it looks like Martin might have an issue now as he comes onto the final straight with he's fighting. It's a 4-way battle. Troy trying to get involved in this as well. Charlie and James also in this little fight for P10. Oh, Charlie braked a little bit late there, and Troy looks like he get a cutback. As fantastic first lap for Troy. He could be on the fringes of the top 10, having started last. So Charlie once again braked late.
Has he got to hang that around the outside? That would be brave if he does. Luckily, they all managed to get through safely. I think Charlie had to run a little bit wide in order to not have contact. Speaking of which, Charlie's just banged into the back of Troy and spun him round. Unfortunately, so he's going to have to do all of that work all over again. As Charlie falls back now, he's obviously got a bit of front wing damage, so Boris past him now. And depending on how much front wing damage he has, Troy's probably going to close up very quickly. And Charlie might even have to pit to replace the front wing. Just cycling back through the pack, and everybody seems to be doing okay now. And settling into a bit of a rhythm. We do have 32 laps of this race remaining, of course.
Yeah, hugely dramatic first couple of laps there. Everyone got through turn 1 nice and safely. Really well disciplined, and then I sort of cut away from the rear of the field, and I think I saw the same shot as you did when those sort of 2 Haas cars, Troy and Gerard, just sort of appeared across the screen at turn 3 all backwards. Not quite sure what happened there. Guy as well, great qualifying for him. He'll be really disappointed to be out of this race, and it's a shame that Abdul once again making an early pit stop, sitting down in 19th in the standings. And for being honest, he's been much quicker than that this season, but just hasn't put a race together yet.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we've been saying about Harry for the season. He's very, very quick, but unfortunately gets himself into bother. As Sean eyeing up the back of the Ferrari for a move perhaps down into turn 1. Of course, DRS is active, so he may fancy it. Of course, we'll see. Mikey keeping pace as well with Mitchell, who sets the fastest lap of the race with 20.5. And we've got some lag there. Yep, that was lag. Gatis lagging all over the place for me.
Yeah.
Because a second ago he was side by side with Jerry, and then he was inside Jerry. Now he's lagging all over the place.
Yeah.
In fact, now he's just pulled over for me, but I don't know if he has or if that itself
He
is
could
lagging.
shoot up.
No,
to
he has
15
pulled over.
seconds.
No, he's back on track. That McDonald's Wi-Fi not paying off, as Troy's caught right back up to the back of Charlie again. He's going to go around the outside of turn 4. Turn 5, sorry. Oh, they banged wheels on the exit. And Jerry's the first one to go into the naughty book with some corner cutting, as Troy makes that move, so he's up to 13th. Let's see if he can close up that 3.3 second gap to the next car in front. Troy actually the one that's made the most movement at the start of this race, with 5 positions gained. Biggest loss obviously is Abdul, as we have Gatis in the pits, potentially to retire due to the lag that he's throwing out to people, and that is a shame, because that's one very quick, one dangerous variable that's now just been taken out of the race. Got Sean climbing all over the back of Mikey again, but he needs to make sure that he doesn't start doing what he did last season and just climbing over curbs too much and getting himself penalties because of it, just because he wants to pass, because that's not going to do him any good at all.
It won't, and Jerry again runs wide at turn 11. He needs to just calm down a bit. Running in 4th place, this is the highest he's been all season. He's already picked up a penalty for his troubles. The main points at which these drivers will be getting penalties is turn 4 on both entry and exit, blind apex, so fairly easy to cut it when you're going for it, and also not very lenient on the exit. And turn 11 as well, you just extend that a little bit too wide and the game will punish you, as Jerry and Abdul have both found out. So Sean is 1 for corner cutting penalties and track extending, so we just need to watch out for that. These sort of tracks can be his undoing. We know he has exceptional pace and he's displaying that once again, right pestering Mikey's Ferrari, but we can't be sure. But we'll go penalty free at this as Troy sets to work on Gerard. Am I still moving to turn 1 there?
Yep, unfortunately just missed that, but he now moves his way into 11th position, and again 2.3 seconds to the car in front. Gerard on an interesting strategy, I'll put it that way. He's on the medium compound tyre. Unfortunately Luke was also on the medium compound tyre before his race lasted all of 2 corners. That would have been interesting to see come the later parts of the race, to see where they would have been. Of course we have Dan in 8th position. He's the first one on the soft tyre, so he may be putting some of the front runners under a little bit of pressure as the pit stops start, as we've got Sean having a look at the back of Harry down into turn 1.
Yeah, Ben all
and we've got Troy has just passed Martin in the final corner. So obviously Martin made some sort of mistake in order for that to happen.
Yeah, Troy displaying the good pace we know he has. I think he invalidated every single lap in qualifying, putting him into the 18s, so not ideal for him. I think it really looks as though, I mean, Harry's one person struggling, Jerry as well. I've never seen someone struggle so much at slow speed. The car looks to be wanting to get away from him all the time, and Ben is looking much more competitive at this stage as Troy gets a little bit overexcited. That's what we're talking about, so extending a little bit at turn 4 and punished. So expect a few of those as, oh, Sean's gone off. Drop off the back of Harry there. I think he might have overcooked it on the exit of turn 9, and now that leaves him vulnerable to Dan.
Bit of a lock up there for Sean as he's still trying to get past Mikey for the second position. As Martin pits from 12th. And Mitchell's not really pulling away that much. And there we go, Sean with his first penalty of the race. We're only on lap 8 of 35, so he needs to be careful he doesn't get any more. But, as we mentioned time and time again, this is Sean we're talking about, so no doubt there's many more to come.
Yeah. He'll be disappointed to get one. So, and it is frustrating. You can go sort of 20 laps without picking up a warning, and then say go 2 laps when you pick up all 3. So losing, getting a penalty early on in the race is pretty disheartening as a driver. No, then it's just a constant uphill battle. You're praying that your rivals will make similar mistakes and rack up penalties. But as we know with Mikey, he takes pride in not picking up those track extending penalties, and Ben is right on the back of Jerry now. Surely this is the lap that he's going to go for a move.
Yeah, this should be done and dusted. Down into turn 1. Yep, it is indeed. Stops the car on the apex nicely. Jerry gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit to put pay to any chance he had of trying to get that position back. So Ben now up to 4th position. Now we can see what sort of pace he has. See if he can catch up to the back of Sean, who's right on the back of Mikey again. So Mikey's really struggling. Because yeah, the gap was 8/10 about half a lap ago. It's now back to quarter second. Mikey really starting to look like he's struggling a bit. Running wide even in that corner. We're on lap 9 of 35. So we've still got a long way to go.
Oh, Mikey getting out of shape again. Yeah, we are looking at a 1-stop here. Fairly standard. Super soft strategy is the quickest. As Mikey gets really
Mikey,
wide. And that's going to cost him some time on the run to turn 1.
Yep, he's not even defending that. Probably looking for the switchback, which of course he gets. Side by side, squeezes Sean a little bit, but Sean not going to be intimidated. Come on, camera, there we go. Sean just squeezes Mikey off the road just a little bit, and
Harry's
takes
done Harry.
that 2nd place. Troy falling backwards a little bit. He's down to 10th, so I'm not sure what happened there, but
he's battling with James down the straight as Ben goes into the naughty, but yeah, Troy gets that move down to P9. But yeah, Harry lost it on the exit of turn 1 and concedes 2 places to Sean number 2, and Dan falling back down to 8th place. So that is not ideal for him once again, just making an error. Mainly through lack of practice. So yeah, Mikey will be disappointed there. Probably could have been a bit more aggressive on the run down to turn 2, covering the inside and sort of making sure Sean couldn't throw it up the inside. He was in front of the Mercedes, but it would have been perhaps not very gentlemanly. Decided better of it, and Sean, yeah, took the opportunity. Good on the brakes and got the move done. He will hopefully chase down Mitchell and then try and make up for his penalty that he's already suffered.
yeah, that has of course stretched the gap out to 2.6 seconds, where it was 1.4. So Mitchell's probably breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief that these guys are off his back, at least for the time being. But of course, Sean with his pace, you never know, it might only take him a couple of laps to get that back. Mikey not being shaken off though, the gap only half a second. And of course with Sean's penalty, that keeps him in 2nd position at the time being. I can't help feel as Sean very nearly drops it again on the exit curb, that pit stops will be coming shortly, as Charlie, I think, has run off the road. Yep, spun on the exit of turn number 1 and broken his front wheel.
Like, he's travelled a long way down. He'd actually come
And
to a
out
stop.
of the race he goes.
I don't know where he's lost it, but he was halfway down the straight by the time the car came to a stop. So yeah, a bit of a bizarre instant for him there. But yeah, like I said, Mikey not being shaken at this point. I'm actually very impressed that he's still within the DRS range of Sean. I was expecting Sean to bolt very quickly, considering he was all over the back of Mikey. Harry's incident will come back to haunt him now. He's got Troy all over the back of him, who is on a charge on those soft tyres. Is he going to go for it? Turn 1, it's a
what
big
a
lunge.
dive contact! That was very rude, and he quite rightly gives the position back. Because that was very rude.
Yeah, he saw his name in lights and I think just went for the absolute dive bomb of the century, but it didn't come off. Harry fully entitled to turn in, and I think in Troy's defence he didn't contest on the exit of turn 1, so as he goes and picks up
he's
his
given
second.
himself another penalty.
So for all this hard work, he does have 6 seconds of penalty to his name already.
Which unfortunately is going to drop him at least 1 position. But Gerard's just given himself a penalty to add to it, so...
Jerry's very slow.
Jerry's made a mistake somewhere. Drops to 6th. Of course, Dan right behind. And he bolts into the pit, so he's the first one to pit. I'm assuming, like you mentioned earlier, that he'll be going onto the onto the soft tyre. As Harry pits as well, that releases Troy to start putting the hammer down. Hopefully set some quick legal laps instead of some illegal ones with some cutting and extending.
Yeah, Jerry, not surprising he's pitted early. The car looks a complete handful in race trim. Great quali lap for him. He was definitely a one with the car in that session, but he's not looks on top of it in this race. So a bit of an earlier box for him, getting on some fresh rubber. He's just, you know, he doesn't want to throw this away. He's in a really good position for some decent points. Currently sitting 20th in the driver's standings on just 6th. So any points he gets today will be useful for him in the championship, and he won't want to throw them away. So probably a wise decision to go for an early pit stop.
Yeah, just looking at the current battle for 5th, as Sean pits from 2nd place. He's the first one to pit. Mikey continues. Bit of an odd... Maybe Sean thinks that the undercut will give him at least some of the 3 seconds that he will need to try and overcome that penalty. Not quite sure that's the right decision, as Sean number 2 comes into the pits and puts on the medium compound tyre. Again, interesting strategy, given the fact that we think super soft and soft would be the strategy.
Normal strategy, yes, but if you're, you know, pushing to any sort of extent, it does hurt those rear tyres, and of course the front left. So it's not entirely safe. In the league races I did here, I finished sort of fairly critical on tyres, but it really depends how long you can take this sort of softs. Preston, Jerry, all right up behind Gerard now. He's on the mediums that he started on. Sean will be looking to retake that position. Jerry gained with the undercut. It'll be very interesting to see. Yes, okay, we do have the leaders pitting now. It was pretty vital that they did come in. We've just seen Jerry pull off a good undercut. Sean was going to do the same. So we'll see how much time that Mercedes has gained.
Right, let's see where Mikey comes out in regards to Mitchell. Not Mitchell, Sean, sorry. Sean's passed him, and he's passed Mitchell. So there you go. Not quite sure how that happened, given the fact that as they came into the pits, the gap between Mitchell and Mikey was 4 seconds. according to the timing screen. So yeah, he's done the pair of them.
Yeah,
Now he can
Sean
set to
was.
work about overcoming that 3-second penalty.
He's gained over three and a bit seconds on Mitchell there with that undercut, which is absolutely incredible. I think Mitchell seems to have lost about 7/10 to Mikey, so maybe there was a small mistake on his part. But yeah, he's nailed the pit stop phase to perfection. It's not quite as straightforward as Sean bombing it away and getting 3 seconds, because we know he's the type of person that is susceptible to picking up more penalties as the race goes on. So Mitchell has a hope, but he's got to be on it now, and it's going to force Mitchell to push that a bit harder and risk getting penalties himself.
We've got a decent scrap coming up for 6th position as Ben's all over the back of JC. As they come through the final corner, so he's going to have DRS on the run down to turn 1. Defensive he goes, but it's not enough, and Ben up into 6th position, runs a little bit wide, so may get undercut here. No, manages to keep that position, and he's got a 6-second gap in front of him to try and close up. Got Gerard on the back of Sean number 2. Battles for 9th position. Just keep an eye on the front battle. Do obviously have Dan up there in the lead. He's yet to stop, because he started on those soft tyres. It's going to be interesting to see how far he goes, because Sean's reeling him in at a vast rate of knots.
Yeah, he'll probably go into the early 20s, but I doubt he'll fight Sean and Mitchell too hard. He's a fairly intelligent racer. He'll know that he's not really in their race, so shouldn't make it too hard for them. But then it is Hungary, so it's hard enough as it is. But it's been a great start to Dan's race department career. He started 2 races and accumulated 18 points. So he's looking good to continue that vein of form. He's not getting out of the way at turn 4. No reason to. I think Sean got a mega run up the hill. All this is helping Mitchell now close in.
Yeah, I was fully expecting him to just pop out from behind him and try the overtake into that very fast turn 4. Didn't quite do it, and just like you said, he's lost about 7/10 of a second to Mitchell on this lap alone, and it's not even finished yet. He's going to have to take a dive up the inside, and he does so. Had to be done, but unfortunately Mitchell's going to follow him through, and now Mitchell's right up behind him, and he's going to be in the DRS. Gap's 4/10 of a second, and unfortunately for Mikey, it didn't hold them up enough. And as I say that, he sets the fastest lap of the race, but we do have a very good battle for the lead coming up now. Mitchell just made a little lock up there into turn 2. Doesn't want to do that too much, otherwise he's going to drop off the back, as Jerry and JC are going at it in the background.
Yeah, James pulls off a nice little undercut, switch back on Jerry. The move done and dusted, but James and Mercedes not having any of it, so nice little tussle there. But yeah, great piece of opportunistic driving from Mitchell. Really got a nice run out of 12. Launched down the inside of Dan. Unfortunately, didn't look to have the legs of Sean down the straight, so that could come into it. If he doesn't have the speed on the straight to get past, then there's not much you can do on track. He's just got to hope that he can beat Sean on penalties.
Yeah, Jerry and James swapping positions again. Mikey's right on the back of Dan in the background, but we're going to stick with this. Sean goes defensive. Mitchell's going to try a switch back. Mikey's taken third while we're watching this. Mitchell not brave enough to stick it down the inside. Well, I don't know if it's just brave or just being quite smart, because like we keep mentioning, Sean has the penalty. Mitchell does not. So sticking it down his inside and potentially having contact and breaking the front wing isn't really going to pay him much good.
No, and that's not the way that Mitchell races. He's one of the most respected drivers in the field, very intelligent. Thinks a lot about, you know, where he's placing the car and about the long game. So not the type of person to go for a bit of a risky dive bomb. So yeah, you won't be seeing that from him unless he's really under pressure. But this is just great to watch. You know, I wish I could have had these battles with Mitchell last season. I only really got one or two. But it seems like, you know, most races now, Sean and Mitchell at one point are coming together on the racetrack and having a real battle. It's fantastic to see.
That it is. Like you said, it's not often that we've seen it this season, because remember, Sean did have a 4 to 5 race winning streak between Monaco and Austria. So it's good to see that finally somebody's putting him under a little bit of pressure. Well, I say a little bit of pressure, this is a lot of pressure. The two championship protagonists from last season end up being the two championship protagonists this season. Unfortunately for Mitchell, he's on the wrong side of it, as there's a current 91-point gap between the two of them. But you never know, he might get to slowly chip away at it come the end of the season.
Well, it depends. Sean could equally go on a 5-race huge penalty streak. Yeah, you can never really tell with him. But yeah, it looks like he should have the championship nice and wrapped up. As long as we get good action on track and Mitchell is able to put on some pressure, then that's all we can really ask for.
Just want to say hello to Luke as well in the chat. Good to see you joining us in the unfortunate circumstances, because of course we would rather you be in the race than in the chat watching, but thank you for joining us as Troy pits from 6th position. He's putting on the super soft tyre for the final 14 laps of this race. They should last, especially if it's a brand new set.
First man to brave the switch to super softs of those that started on harder rubber. I'm sure we'll see Dan come in at the end of this lap. It'll be very interesting to see how close to Dan Troy can get, because that's huge. As Mitchell, he's right on the back of Sean, but he goes into the naughty block, and now it becomes a straight fight for the win, as both have 3-second penalties. But another little spanner in the works is Mikey is sitting just on a 3-second bubble of Sean and currently without a penalty. So suddenly Ferrari is roped in as possibly being able to win this race.
That's a very good point, as Dan does indeed pit on this lap. Abdul getting another penalty. And here's the thing, if these two battle particularly hard in the next few laps, that's just going to be all the better for Mikey, who will just close up, and in fact he's closed up 0.2 of a second in the first couple of corners on this lap alone.
Yeah, this is so important now for Mikey to just put in 14 perfect laps, just make sure he keeps making inroads, which we know is going to be so difficult for him to do, because I still think he's using a bath mat underneath his pedals to try and create the friction. He's probably stretching his body just trying to brake at this point, but he's going to do that a while longer, I'm afraid, because it is now paramount that he gets within 3 seconds of the race leader, but he runs wide at turn 11, and the dream scenario that we were dreaming up in our heads there is over. He's now got to do it on track if he wants to do it.
I would not like to be anywhere near his house right now, because I can just imagine the swearing that's coming out of his mouth is beyond biblical. As he's just cost himself a potential victory. He'd better hope that these two either take each other out, or fight enough for him to get involved in the action, or just get themselves another penalty.
Superb little opportunistic move there by Troy around the outside of turn 12. Harry got the move done on James, but Troy just followed him through, and I reckon Troy will now make this position on those fresh super softs and launch himself into 8th place.
James has just pitted, as you say that, and I've gone the wrong way on my cameras, but there we go. Troy side by side with Harry as they go down into turn 1. I think Harry's just about managed to fend him off. He has indeed, but of course he's going to try and go around the outside, which will give him the inside for the next corner, and Harry just pushes him off the road. Have a bit of that, he says, as Troy has to fall back, gather himself up, and run at him again. As the gap for the lead is now just 0.2 of a second. And of course a DRS zone to come up.
I think Sean is taking it easy now that he knows Mitchell has a penalty. He knows all he has to do is keep him behind. But it is costing him time in a lap. But yeah, Mitchell just unable to bring himself alongside down the straight. He's just going to run himself out wide there, unfortunately. He's going to have to do a lot if he wants to win this race. Sean looks fairly comfortable at just holding him off at this point.
Yeah, the proverbial shark in the background. 1.8 seconds now, the gap between Mikey and Mitchell. This will be very, very tasty if it becomes a three-way scrap. We've got just over 11 laps remaining. Well, I'd say about 10.5. But Sean flirting with disaster in that chicane again. Running all over the curbs. So Troy all over the back of Harry again. So let's just quickly swap to that. And he's given himself another penalty. Something tells me he just doesn't care at this point. He's just trying to have as much fun as he can.
I think just looking back over the races earlier this season, he is another one that isn't that good at getting through a race without picking up penalties. So a bit trademark from Troy at this point. Mitchell trying to look down the inside of Sean, doesn't anywhere near it. And cut back to Troy.
Troy having a look down the inside. Surely this will be a move. And he repays the favour to Harry and just promptly puts him off the road. They've banged wheels coming out of that corner. Of course, Harry, I believe, is going to have the DRS, so Troy's going to have to get defensive. And we've got Dan all over the back of Sean number 2. Down there as well. He's made the position. Harry looks to the outside of Troy. Can't quite do it. Troy now can finally put his head down and pull away.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Harry there, him and Troy crossed the DRS detection zone completely neck and neck, and on this game an exciting feature is that neither of those cars get the benefit of DRS, so that's Harry's fight over if he runs it wide at turn 4. Really made it hard for Troy, and Harry never makes it easy. He's not one to just pull alongside if he's not in your race. He will always fight you, regardless of the shape of his tyres. I remember back to Belgium last season as
Mitchell for the inside! I was not expecting him to do that. But locks up. Can't get the move done. I was about to say that Mikey's fallen off the back, but with that move, I think he's closed them back up. And Mitchell just having fun out there.
Oh, Sean's lost his
Oh,
run.
Sean's lost it. Surely he hasn't saved that. Mitchell to the inside. They're side by side. No, they're not. Sean manages to just pinch him a little bit.
That was just sensational. His brakes on the grass for turn 5. I don't know how much Marquez has been watching, but that was a beautiful bit of car control just to keep that. As Mitchell goes straight down the inside of turn 12.
These two are just having a bit of fun out there. The gap now is 1 second. So Mikey could be in the DRS. I think he's just outside it as Mitchell's trying to push Sean round the corner. 9 laps of this race remaining. DRS open for Mitchell. Sean's going defensive. Going to make Mitchell try and go around the outside again. He's going to cut back on him. Can't get the traction down. He's going to have a look down into turn 2. Yes, he does. Do they bang wheels? I think they do. Mitchell wrestles that lead off of Sean, but remember, well, actually they're both equal on penalties, so that is actually Mitchell in the actual lead of the race.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I've never seen this side of Mitchell before, but he was so aggressive, just capitalising on Sean's mistakes, making sure that he took his opportunity. It looked quite aggressive on our screen. I don't think it would have been quite as bad on his, but a great little late on the brakes move into turn 2. Fantastic bit of aggressive driving, and yes, like you were pointing out, with all of that fighting, Mikey is now poised to join this battle and make it a 3-way fight for the lead.
Yeah, Harry's just passed Troy as well. Oh, I take that back. Troy's just passed him back again on this lap, so we've got some really good scraps all throughout the field, but we're going to keep our cameras on this one as Mitchell gets very scribbly on the exit of the final corner, but Sean could do nothing about it. Clearly running a bit more wing as Mitchell locks up. Surely he's going to just hand the place back to Sean, or is he? He gets that traction. He's going to go defensive. Sean can't quite take it round the outside. Might have a run into turn 4. Gap to Mikey, 9/10 of a second with 8 laps to go. So he's closing in nicely. And these two had better watch out, because if he gets a shot at an overtake, he's going to take it. I believe as it stands, Mikey finishes where he is. He's going to go back up to 4th in the championship. 15 points. Yep, he will go up to 4th. I don't think he's close enough to take 3rd. No, he's not. So this is an important race for Mikey. He needs to try and build up some momentum now that he's back racing full time. But as you said, as he's racing on a bath mat at the moment, not quite sure what sort of momentum you can get. Yeah,
it's never easy when you don't have your setup fully in. Of course, he's newly moved house and is just finding random household objects to try and put a setup together. So all credit for rejoining the league full time and turning up every week, and it'll be so worth it. He loves fighting for the win. That's all he wants to do, and he hasn't been able to do it a lot on this game really in the past 2 seasons, but this is his kind of situation, chasing a win with 6 laps to go. Unfortunately, he just can't seem to get within the striking range of Sean, but Harry has for the 2nd time this race and lost it on the exit of turn 1. We've got Sean attacking Mitchell, Mikey not far back. We've got Dan all over the back of Jerry, whose tyres are on their last legs now, down on those super softs. Should get that move done fairly soon. We've got Troy attacking Sean number 2 down the inside of turn 12. Sean holding it around the outside. We've got battles all the way through the field, but Troy with that superior grip, can he get the job done at turn 13? Yes, he can. As we now watch Dan try and mount an attack at Jerry into turn 1. Troy picking up what appears to be his 20th track extending penalty, so that P7 on track probably isn't representative of where he actually is when penalties are all collated together, but on the front group now, Mikey has joined the battle with Sean and Mitchell as we start lap 31 of 35, 5 laps to go between a Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari for the win as Dan shucks it down the inside of Jerry. Into turn 12, Jerry going for a cutback here. This is full position, but Dan will get the move done on the super soft tyres. So yes, the tension switches to the front 3 and a battle for victory here, all on 1 penalty each. No mathematics, no calculators needed. A straight fight for the win. Sean takes his now customary wide line through the final corner. Not really sure how much time that's gaining him as Jerry goes into the wall on the exit of what looks to be turn 9. He's got on the exit curve. That is such a shame. He almost made it through to the end. Probably would have finished in P7 with Troy hunting him down on super soft tyres, but that is such a shame that he's going to lose out there. He might just have to pick. He'll lose so much time. Go down the front wing. He will stay out. A fairly big gap back to Harry and Gerard, to be fair, so he might just crawl across in P8, but that is just horrible for Jerry, who's driven fantastically throughout qualifying and the race. The top 3 have spread out a little bit. It's not quite as close as we might hope. Fairly consistent gaps, but I'm very impressed with Mitchell as Sean gets a penalty for running wide at turn 11. So that is his second penalty. That pushes him 3 seconds behind where he is on track compared to the Red Bull and the Ferrari. So that pushes Mikey up into P2. And Sean's bid for the win potentially over. John wide at turn 1. Used to him doing it as a tactic through turn 14, but he's just starting to get to him a little bit here. Not driving in the unstoppable robotic fashion that we have become accustomed to over recent months, and where it just shows that when the pressure's on, he does make mistakes. He's falling right back into the clutches of Mikey. Other than that, not too much movement. We do have Troy 2 seconds behind Dan now. Let's not forget Troy started in P18. So to be in 6th place after getting caught up in that first lap incident is very impressive. been on the same strategy as Dan, who started in 11th. So both of them with good races, but Troy showing that once again he does have the pace, just unfortunately hasn't quite got it together over an entire session. It does get another penalty.
Oh dear, I don't even know what to say anymore. Mikey attacking though for second position on the track. Tries to get the switch back, but can't do it. 2 laps remain, including this one. I've got to say, once I've been impressed with Sean's tremendous consistency of his 4-race winning streak, I've got to say I do like the fact that Mitchell's actually bringing the fight to him and Mikey, and actually getting him flustered and making him make a few more mistakes. I quite like this, because it looks like we do actually have a fight on our hands for the remainder of the season. I won't.
Yeah, I mean,
I won't jinx it too early, but.
Well, I mean, I think he's very similar to Mitchell's, just the same, really, or at least he was. I think Mitchell has developed as a driver, and I found that last season, if I let him get away and into the lead, he was just like a robot, banging inconsistent times and pulling off a fantastic victory. But if things didn't go his way, if he qualified out of position, he struggled. And I think Mitchell's matured a lot and come a long way, and he's sort of no longer gets flustered in those situations. But Sean definitely, going by today, dropped 2 seconds off Mitchell at this point. And we know raw pace-wise he's the quickest out there, so definitely just making these mistakes is great for everyone else, and great to see on the track that we don't have Sean running away with it, but maybe something that he needs to work on.
Yep, so here we are on to the final lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Sean slid it wide in turn 5. Mikey having a look down the inside into the chicane, but can't do anything with it. It'd be pretty silly to try and overtake, especially since you've already got the position, but this is Mikey we're talking about, so he may very well just try and chance a move down the inside into turn 12. No, doesn't do it. 2 more corners to go, as Harry's on the back of Jerry for 8th position further down the field. Mitchell's going to come across the line though to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Very good drive by him. Sean takes 3rd. Mikey takes 2nd. Ben with a very quiet, understated drive comes home in 4th position. Very good job by him. His teammate Dan is going to cross the line in 5th. Troy couldn't quite catch him up on the track, but of course with the amount of penalties he's got, it'll be interesting to see where he actually finishes. There we go, he's dropped to 7th at least. Here comes Harry, who has quite a few penalties of his own. I have no idea why they try and destroy the car over the line, Luke. Not a clue. Look at that, there you go. Troy finishes in 7th. After all of the penalties. Harry finishes in 8th. Gerard finishes 9th. Jerry brings the car home in 10th, just about. And that rounds out your point scorers for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I've got to say, that was a terrific race.
Yeah, race-long battle for the lead is what we always like. Sean nailing the strategy. It seemed with the earlier pit stop, but maybe just struggled a bit with his tyres towards the end. He did get out of shape a couple of times in that stint, and overheating is absolutely fatal on this game. So maybe that had something to do with it. But yeah, Mitchell, the most consistent driver out of the top 3, pole position, and deserved the win for the Red Bull driver.
And I've got to say, it would be good if this was real life, because we've got three different teams on the podium. Which is
well, like we had in Canada.
Sport. Yes, indeed.
Real one.
So there you have it. There's everybody having a penalty. I don't think anybody escaped the race without getting one. No, they did not. We had James in 11th place. We had Abdul in 12th. We've got Martin in 13th. And then we've got our DNFs for the rest, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that was an absolutely terrific race, which is going to make my next question quite difficult. But who is your driver of the day?
I mean, if Jerry hadn't lost control of the car with a few laps to go, he would have been on for a P7. And after his qualifying, I really wanted him to bring home the points, but unfortunately, he didn't quite hook it all up. So I think driver of the day will have to go to the race winner, Mitchell. Not getting phased by Sean's undercut and really being aggressive when he needed to be to bring home all 25 points. Difficult, isn't it?
It is. It is. I mean, Ben, despite his penalties, had a nice, quiet race. Troy coming up from 18th position to get 7th. You've got Mitchell.
Can keep it on the track, man.
Yeah, true. You've got Mitchell, who drove a fantastic race, and like you said, just drove just aggressively enough to put Sean under enough pressure to mess it up. And Mikey's Mikey, really. Put himself in that position to gain from a lot of this. But I don't know. I might join you with Mitchell, actually, because that battle was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give Mikey credit for, perhaps having the most painful setup to race on and still finishing on the tail of the leaders. But yeah, I think it was great to see that side of Mitchell. I was sure, we saw sort of he was being hesitant in the early part of that second stint. That's sort of Mitchell we know, but we don't often see him, be aggressive, and he chose his moment perfectly. Sean made one mistake and he harassed him for the rest of the lap until he was able to make the move on him. So yeah, Mitchell was very impressive today.
Right, so that was round 10 of season 10 of our Race Department F1 Championship on the PlayStation 4. Just want to say a big thank you to everybody that has watched this one. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you're interested in seeing about the league and stuff, our very wonderful moderator in the chat has just posted the link up for the league if you want to go and take a look at that. Next time out is the Belgian Grand Prix from Spa-Francorchamps, which is probably my favourite racetrack in the world. So I can't wait for that, because if today was anything to go by, that's going to be absolutely brilliant. And of course, you can't understate the changeable weather conditions that you can get at Spa. And yes, we probably will be doing this for F1 2018 as well. So of course, if you're interested for that season, it'll be season 11 on F1 2018. But if you're interested in that, then of course follow the link that's been posted in the chat, and yeah, do join us for that. Of course, providing the multiplayer is not a huge pile of tosh.
Don't speak too soon.
Yes. But anyway, thank you all for watching. We shall see you 8 o'clock UK time, Tuesday next week, the 26th. Hopefully there won't be any football on to distract anybody. But yes, thank you very much for watching. Next week will be the Belgian Grand Prix. So from myself and from Michael, we shall see you then. And of course, take care.